My name's Tom Lagana, owner of Blackwater Taxidermy with my son, Joey. I started doing taxidermy work just as a hobby, as a boy, when I was 10. And it progressed from there, from a hobby to a small business. It's about as big as we really care to have it at this point. Keeps us busy about 4 or 5 months out of the year. Actually, my father taught me when I was 9 or 10 years old. Somebody he knew had done taxidermy work and introduced him to it as he did me. And I started like Joey. I started with birds and small mammals, and eventually started doing the deer and the full body deer and so on. But I think most taxidermists are probably hunters. Like my son Joey, who was my apprentice, he was a hunter, and I think the way he started, he was interested in mounting the specimens that he harvested, in the hunting season, whether it be a deer or a turkey or a duck and myself as well. When I was a boy, my father piddled with taxidermy, and I was interested in mounting perhaps something that I had harvested, whether it be a goose or, a white-tailed deer or whatever it was. I wanted to preserve it, just as a keepsake. You learn the anatomy, whether it be waterfowl species or whether it be the sika deer that I particularly enjoy mounting. I think understanding the anatomy of that species gives you an advantage, for the taxidermy. Well, I think everybody has an idea in their mind. Everybody wants something different, so I don't try to talk them into anything. They come in here and, you see the different deer, the different poses we have in here. And with the waterfowl, they come in here and they have an idea in their mind. Some people will bring me a picture, which is really great, because then I can get a look that they want to capture. And that makes it easy for me, rather than them just dropping it off, saying do what you think, because when they get the specimen back, it might not be exactly what they want. So I really prefer, and in fact I write down in my note, my instructions, specifically what they are looking for. Well, log it in the book. Typically, the animal then has to be skinned, and from there we have to proceed in either tanning. If it's a mammal or deer, we have to tan the cape. Joey skins, fleshes, preserves the waterfowl. Everything's measured. We get dimensions, whether it be a duck or deer, and we order, specifically the form required to mount that specimen. The sika deer that I do most of, there's not an extensive line of sika deer forms, as there is like in the whitetail. So I've got a lot of sculpt work to do to each mannequin, which is time consuming. And everything's got to be according to not only the deer's anatomy, but according to the specific deer the customer brings me, or it's not, the outcome of the mount's just not going to look right. Everybody brings deer here or waterfowl, and it's either to remember a hunting trip, a special hunting trip they had with their son, or it might be, I did 2 deer this year. One of them was a girl's first deer. She shot a doe, but she was proud of the doe, so she wanted it mounted. So it was a trophy to her. So a lot of the deer that I do aren't for, say, great big, rack bucks, that would go in a record book. I have done a couple record book deer in the past 2 years, but most of the time, if it's a trophy to that particular individual, that's the type of deer that I end up mounting.